Hello everybody, Adele and April here from Just Say Scrap, and we are here with the close to my heart Twisted Sisters. So make sure you watch our video to see what we are twisting. So today we are using both our Bitty Flowers embossing folder and our stencil. This can either come together in a pack or it can come together separately, however you would like to get these two items, but we are using them today for this twist together as a set. So the embossing folder does measure to about a 4¼ by 4¼ but we decided to cut a 4×4 white daisy square, and then we had to use our die cutting and embossing machine to first emboss our white daisy, and then you will see what we do afterwards. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to use the embossing folder and the stencil how it was intended by Close to My Heart so you can see the bitty flowers, and then we are going to do our twist after that. So as you see here, you do need to use the letterpress 2D emboss to emboss our paper. So basically you just sandwich that between the platform and the cutting mat or the adapter and it works perfectly. So the first thing you have to do before you actually use your ink is you need to figure out how the stencil goes and matches the embossing folder. So we made sure that that was correct on here. Then we used some washi tape to adhere it down to our all-purpose mat because we do not want that stencil moving on us when we are using our blending brushes or our sponge to get ink onto our paper. So we just tacked that down really well, and then it was time to use some inks. Personally, for something like this, we do love using our blending brushes. We think that they just give a little bit more ink onto the project that we want. So it also gets into those crevices a little bit better. And so that's why we are using the blending brushes here specifically. We can use a sponge as well, but we just prefer the blending brushes. There's nothing really different between the two of them. So as you saw there, we used some wisteria, then we threw some rosy on top to get those spring colors. And voila, we have a really beautiful flower embossed and stenciled piece of cardstock. So that is just how we could normally use this piece, but now it is time for our twist. So we're just gonna clean up our area a little bit with a stamp chamois, and we are also going to go rinse our stencil underneath water, and that is how it gets clean. And we are ready to use our stencil again for our next project. So, have any idea of what we are about to twist? Well, make sure you continue to watch to see what we're going to do. So I made sure that the all-purpose mat was no longer wet, so that way when we did our next project, no cardstock or anything got damp. And then we cut that 4×4 square one more time. So we are once again just going to throw this through the die cutting and embossing machine just so we have our paper to use, and then it's time to get started with our twist. So once we get this piece of cardstock done and embossed, it is time to move on to our next part. So we are going to pull in some blue inks here, and instead of lining our stencil up perfectly like we did last time, we're actually going to offset it a little bit. So I wanted to start first off with the debossed side. So as you see here, when we are using that glacier ink, we are getting a really cool effect with the debossed part of our paper. And this is just setting up a background for when we use the stencil. It might look a little bit more purpley because I accidentally grabbed one of the sponges that we had already used, so I'm sorry that it kind of mixed colors a little bit there, but it does go with the end result, I promise. So then we are still using our washi tape to hold that stencil down, because even though we are not actually lining anything up this time, we don't want that stencil moving when we start to use our blending brush and our inks. So as you see there, we use the Journey ink, we use our blending brushes, I did a few small spots, and now I am going back after we rotated it and putting more ink onto this paper. This time you can see that we really are putting a lot more pressure and a lot more ink on when we use the Journey, and it was just by flipping around the stencil there that we now have these flowers, or in this case, snowflakes, all over our page, which we really think works for the winter wonderland scene that we are trying to make these flowers into. So I decided against using the mist ink, but instead I decided to grab out the shimmer brush for it instead, because I wanted to give our snowy scene a little bit of shimmer and shine. We used the brush then to draw some small little snowflakes on the paper, and then our project was complete. And here's just a quick comparison of the two together. So you can see that this one with the snowflakes is completely different. It's got that blustery look and everything like that, while the simple flowers has just this beautiful, elegant look to itself. And just to spruce the flowers up a little bit more, we grabbed in one of our liquid pearls just to give all those flowers some centers. So it really does kind of finalize the flower project, while the snowflakes are just super, super cute and blustery and everything like that. But all right, that's our Twisted Sisters. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.